And then obviously the third component is to manage right. And even with the business, you're buying a business, great. You need to manage that business. You need to manage it for cash flow. You need to manage it for the operations of the business. So when you're putting all three of these together, that's how you're successful in this business.
So your framework of buy right, manage right, and finance right, that was something you developed for yourselves before the educational program, but now
Yeah.
that is part of the framework and the structure that you teach. Can
Yes.
you elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So Matt, you're going out, you're going to start buying a multifamily or even a single family home. The first part is the buy right. So when you're doing a buy right, you need to create your criteria. And what does that mean by criteria? The first thing is you need to select a market. Let's select a market or a city or a sub-market. For us, it was Knoxville. So from there, we start looking at markets and cities and neighborhoods. I want to look at median incomes of that market because I want to be in certain areas. I've bought in areas that the median income is less desirable. It's a lot harder. I've learned that lesson. So first thing is we try to target a median income. Let's say $50,000. That's what our median income is in Knoxville. The second thing is let's get really crystal clear. I don't want to be in any flood zone. So let's knock out flood zones. If this deal we're looking at is in a flood zone, that's an X against it. The next thing is how many units you can go up to. For us, we're up to 300 units, but be crystal clear on the number of units that you can afford. The next one is what's the unit mix? Do you like studios? Do you like one bedrooms? Do you like two bedrooms? We love 2-bedroom townhomes with garages because they're more of an apartment kind of living. The next thing is what's the age of the asset? Well, we like newer assets now in this part of the market cycle. So we're looking at 1980s and newer. The next thing is we like amenities in properties. We like washer, dryer, hookups, and the list goes on and on. So wherever you are, when you're buying a piece of real estate, understand what your buy right criteria is. So for us, real quick, when I'm talking to a broker, 1980s build, 250 units, median income of 50,000 plus. We love 2-bedroom townhomes. If you got washer and dryers, we love clubhouse, fitnesses. We like brick, pitch roofs. That's how you become really successful in this business, understanding the clarity of what kind of asset you want. Now, translate that into any business or any other real estate, create the buy right criteria for what you're trying to buy or what you're trying to invest in. Then the finance right is where people have gone wrong in this part of the market cycle where they're getting the short-term bridge debt. And what happened if you got this short-term debt 2 years ago, it's coming due now. Your exit was 4.5, but rates now are 8 and 9 in some markets. So you've just gotten completely crushed. So we like longer term fixed rate financing. We've been saying that forever. And that's why these assets have really exploded in price because people are getting short-term debt. They thought they were going to flip out of it and they weren't able to flip out of it. So understand that longer term fixed rate financing works really well in our space. And then obviously the third component is the manage right. And even with the business, you're buying a business, great. You need to manage that business. You need to manage it for cash flow. You need to manage it for the operations of the business. So when you're putting all three of these together, that's how you're successful in this business. And I think one other thing that we made a mistake on, Matt, when we started out, we never thought of our exit strategy. And I think, private equity, and I really think that people are building businesses to exit in 3 or 5 years, understand they're building something and they have an exit plan. Well, most investors, when they first start out, they say to themselves, I need a deal. I need any kind of deal. They don't know what kind of deal it is, but they think they need a deal. But the second part is, well, what is your exit with this deal? Are you going to hold this deal for long term, like Jake and I like to do? Or are you going to hold this deal for 2 or 3 years, flip out, and then get into a bigger deal or a better deal or trade up, as we say in real estate? So understanding that 3-step framework and then understanding what your exit strategy is will make you so much more successful than just somebody going out there saying, I want to get into real estate and find a deal.
You mentioned a couple of times 2-bedroomed townhouses.
Yes.
But you mean on a complex, so lots of 2-bedroom townhouses together,
Yes.
not
Yes. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah. And the problem is, a lot of assets have studios or efficiencies. In some markets, those work really well. But in Knoxville, they're really difficult, not only to rent, but just to keep them rented. They're transient. They tend to turn over a lot, and turnover costs tend to be expensive. So we'd like to have larger assets, 2-bedroom townhomes. It's because when a person rents a 2-bedroom townhome, it feels more like a house. They tend to stay longer. They're a better quality resident. Now, that first deal we bought that first deal had a 6-studio efficiency on it. So you can see how we've learned over the years to really criteria, to really change our criteria. And that asset works really well because we bought it for the right price point, but there's a lot of 1 bedrooms on there. There's a little bit more turnover, but we can deal with it because the price point that we're in just makes it work.